And I am really excited to welcome to the stage the Care Patrol team, I think actually to Rhonda, who's going to tell us a little bit about Care Patrol before we start our discussion. So, Rhonda, let me welcome you to the stage, and we're going to learn a little bit about Care Patrol and the services they provide and their team members. Hey there, Rhonda. Uh,
Hi,
well,
how are you?
thanks, great. And thanks
Good.
again for inviting me to help you with a discussion today. Uh, let's share with folks a little bit about what does Care Patrol do and how can they be a resource?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Steve, for being our moderator. We could not do this without you. My name is Rhonda Miles. I am the owner of Care Patrol, serving Howard and Montgomery County. I am happy to say that we just celebrated 30 years in January, and we are the #1 placement agency in the United States at this time. So I'm very excited about that, and very excited that our team came together to pull together this education series. Care Patrol, we help our clients navigate through the senior housing options. And one way we do that is we actually set appointments, we take them out on tours. We know the history violations of the providers that we work with. We have a wide range of providers from Howard and Montgomery County, about 150 providers. Family members choose to work with the placement agencies like ours because it's tough for them they don't understand, they don't know where to begin. And with Care Patrol, we take them by the hand, we help them through the whole process. We work with case managers, doctors, hospitals. We actually are a liaison with the hospitals, and we meet the client where they are. If they are in their homes and they can't come out, we go to them. If they're in the hospital, we will go to the hospital and meet with the family. If anyone on the line today, I do know that we have several of our providers on the line today, and I can't commend you enough for the hard work that you do in caring for our clients. If you have any questions about Care Patrol, if there's anyone that's here today that needs some assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our phone number is 410-218-5588. I can be reached at rmyles@carepatrol.com. And as you'll see, we have a few of our team members on the line as well. We have advisors that are here to help you with your senior housing needs.
I love
Thank
it.
you so much. And before I wrap up, I can't say enough. We really appreciate our sponsors, Alta Healthcare, Hawkeye Medical, PRA Investments, Lizabelli Med Spa. We appreciate all of your support. Thank you.
I love it. And before you jump off and we meet one of your sponsors, I think it was Leslie asked, do you work in Virginia? And I wanted to bring up this slide here. Well, so Rhonda runs the Howard County, Montgomery County, Maryland office. However, she has colleagues all over the country, but regionally, she has colleagues in all of these mid-Atlantic, DC, Baltimore area regions. And Rhonda, I dropped your email and your phone number in there. So if you're on this discussion or you're listening to this discussion and you're anywhere in the country, Rhonda's got a colleague that can help out. Am I correct in sharing that?
Yes, we do. And they can actually call the main line, the main number, and we can help connect them with one of our partners.
Okay, excellent. All right. So with that, now one of the sponsors that Rhonda mentioned was Hawkeye MedTech. And we've got Ashok who's going to share some information about your organization, and then we'll dive into our discussion on safe and accessible homes. So Ashok, welcome. And I think you've got some slides that you were going to share.
Yes, thank you, Steve, for having me. Thank you, Rhonda, for your partnership, and I really appreciate it. And as Rhonda, I just want to quickly, for 2 seconds, share this thing. My father-in-law was in the ICU and ICU and hospital for some time. I called Kathy, one of Rhonda's people, and she was able to connect me to CarePatrol up in New York. So Virginia is closer, New York is farther. Rhonda has connections everywhere. She's wonderful. So thanks again. Hawkeye Medical is a medical equipment supply company. We are local here, and we provide all sorts of home care. We have full service home care equipment provider, mobility, incontinence, wound care, compression garments, breast care, respiratory, diabetic supplies, lift chairs, and now we just started carrying continuous glucose monitors. So we are your one-stop shop for any medical supplies. I'm going to quickly go through the slides. Insurances, we take Medicare, DC Medicaid, Maryland Medicaid. We are on the Medicaid waiver program. We take TRICARE, Blue Cross Blue Shield, America Group, and Workman's Comps. How we differentiate ourselves from other medical supply companies, we are experts in the items we care and provide for, and we are your consultants. Call us, tell us your problem, we will offer you solutions. And we deliver within the DMV region free of charge. Here's our contact information. Reach out to us. We will be happy to see how we can help your clients. I also wanted to mention quickly the other companies, the telemedicine company, which is very relevant to all senior facilities, assisted living places, and other independent senior living places, where we connect those seniors to your contracted healthcare provider. It's an app, simple and easy to use. They log on, they make an appointment, and they get on the video call. And people who don't have a platform or an app and they have hesitation using technology, we have created this Made in Maryland telehealth station, which we are putting it in assisted living places and independent adult facilities, where they can come down to a common private area and be able to get their medical care needs taken care of. And they can also just come and check the blood pressure and enter it in the system. Here's our contact information, and looking forward to a great discussion.
Excellent. And Shook, I dropped your contact into chat. This is great, Rhonda. You've really put together a great team, and we've got one of my favorite programs today is on the topic of safe and accessible homes. And so I think we are welcoming another CarePatrol team member, Margie, correct?
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Whoops.
There we go.
There you are, Margie.
Hi.
So, okay. Well, Margie, before we dive into your discussion, and I had the good fortune of previewing your slide deck, so I know there's a lot of great information that you're going to share, but tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you became a guide in this area of helping people create safe and accessible homes.
Well, thank you for letting me speak today. My background is as an occupational therapist for about 35 years, and I've always focused on seniors. And then I also became a certified aging in place specialist. And then I recently got out of the clinical end of things, and I was fortunate enough to join CarePatrol. So I get to bring together my occupational therapy background into my role in CarePatrol. So it's been a great blend of now being able to go into some of these homes and see it from an OT perspective, helping the providers and helping our clients as well. And I'm so thrilled that Ashok is part of this, because the resources he provides are such a great supplement to some of the things we'll be discussing.
Excellent. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing that you're part of the CarePatrol team. I love people, I love the thoughts and the expertise of occupational therapists in looking at our home environments. I think that is one of the best ways to utilize your profession, and I'm excited for this this presentation and any discussion that follows it. So I'm going to be running your slide deck today. I've got it up there, and folks, just a reminder, if you've got questions, if there's something that you want Margie to elaborate on, just drop it into chat or use Q&A. And Margie, as we're going through this, feel free to pause throughout your presentation and check in with me. And if there's a question, we can address it then. We don't need to wait till the end, folks. You can ask a question right now if you got one. So let's dive into this. And Margie, you can just say next when you want me to advance.
I just feel so passionate about fall prevention, because I think when our families are looking for communities for their loved ones, safety and good care, I mean, that's at the top of everyone's list. And we have to make the home safe, and we have to prevent falls. So that is the focus of what I want to be discussing with you today. So my background as an OT and a certified aging in place specialist, they kind of go hand in hand. So I love to combine the two because we're looking at function, and a lot of the ideas I want to present, they're all just very cost-effective, easy to implement solutions. So I hope, if you have questions, like Steve was saying, you can ask them as we go along. But I want to just give you some really practical ideas. So we'll look at the next slide here. And when we look at a home, it's not just the inside we're looking at. We have to look at the outside, because with every home, you should have at least 2 safe ways to get in and out of the home. So if someone's in a wheelchair, we need to know that they can safely get in and out of the home. So you see in the top left, we look at ramps. They can be obviously more elaborate, like the one on the top left, or if you have 1 or 2 steps in, these portable modular ramps are a great solution. They're you can buy them and put them on yourself, but it's a great way to make it wheelchair accessible. Or if we have people with walkers and they can't navigate 1 step, something like a portable modular ramp is a great solution. When space is a concern to get into a home, depending on the layout, we don't always have the room to put a ramp like you see in the top left, because it has to be up to code, and it has to be a certain length and for every rise in the step. So if we don't have the distance to put in a ramp like that, then you'll see on the right side, a vertical platform lift is sometimes a good solution, because it doesn't take up a lot of room, but you can access a home when there are a couple of steps to get in. So let's look at the next slide. And we're going to look at now making the inside of the home accessible. I think a lot of us are familiar with the stair lifts, and the stair lifts attached to the tread, not the wall. So you see on the left, the stair lift, which is a great solution to navigate up and down. And then another option we have are pneumatic vacuum elevators. So basically, those are nice solutions to go between, let's say, a couple floors in a home. They don't require, like some of these other regular elevators, you don't need any extra space above or below, because it all has to do with like vacuum suction to make the elevator go up and down. But you can, like let's say where you have a closet or something, you can, if you have part of the home where there's 2 closets stacked, you can then put in, sometimes it's appropriate to use a vacuum elevator.
Margie, we had a question on those, and I'm interested in this too. Is this a relatively new development in home elevator systems? Because I believe we've seen these mechanical elevators, and is this something that's,
They are newer. They are newer, and people are going for them now because they're very quiet. You don't need to have extra space above and below the elevator. And it is sometimes you can just, first of all, if you move to another location, you can actually take it with you. So that's a cost savings as opposed to a standard elevator. And they're all glass enclosed. And I will say that if it is something you are considering putting into your home, think about getting one that is the size where it will also accommodate a caregiver to go with the person who might be in a wheelchair. So it might be worth that little extra money to get one bigger, go sort of planning for the worst case scenario where an individual alone cannot navigate the elevator. So just to have room for that extra caregiver might be worth it. But yes, it is a newer in the home market. Mhm.
okay, great. And my gut level feeling as I look at that product there's less mechanical parts. That
absolutely.
always would make me nervous when I would get into these mechanical home elevators.
Definitely.
Now, before we move, I want to go back to your this slide because Elizabeth says, can a portable ramp fold? How heavy are there? Any restrictions using historic districts? And the good thing is we've got Ashok on the discussion, and he typed in a response that says, yes, portable ramps do fold. You will need to check for any restrictions with your HOA, but this is for accessibility and making the home accessible. There may be an exception in a historic district. And I know oftentimes the ramps can be creatively hidden in garages and other areas of the house as well. But any additional thoughts that you'd like to add to Ashok's comments on the portable ramps?
I mean, I like them. I've also used them inside too, when people have like a sunken living room or something, and there's that one step to go down. Sometimes having that along the wall is a great solution. I really do like them. Of course, you look at the weight capacity of each ramp. You just want to make sure that it accommodates the user and whatever equipment they're using, whether it's a wheelchair, manual wheelchair, a electric wheelchair, just making sure that weight capacity lines up. But it's a great solution.
And then Vita says, can those be used in an apartment complex for an individual apartment? And Vita, I'm obviously, like if you had a sunken living room in an apartment, a portable ramp would be easy to take in and out. But if you're talking about a pneumatic elevator or a stair lift that would be installed in an apartment to get you from, if it was a 2-story apartment or a rental unit, you would definitely want to talk to the property owner or the landlord before making an improvement like that. I think the stair glide, those can easily be taken in and out, but something like an elevator would definitely require more construction.
I want to also comment on the stair lifts, because sometimes if people no longer need a stair lift, they think, oh, I'll just give it to somebody else I know that needs one. It does not work that way. It's very specific. It has to be the right angle. Like the stairs, sometimes there's a different height riser. So you can't necessarily assume that you can just take a used one if you see one for sale and that it would work in your home. It's got to be the right angle. It's got to be the right length. I actually went to a residential home where the stair lift did not go all the way up. And that's not okay. It's got to work for that stair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to drop behind the curtain and move us to the next slide.
All right. Same thing too. Whenever there's a change in the height of a floor surface, where there's a threshold between, like you can see in these photos, the one floor surface and then another floor surface just going between rooms, that threshold is critical. That's a big tripping hazard. So here it just demonstrates some options for how to sort of minimize the threshold so that you can more safely get in a room. There are also, you'll see some big heavy rubber mats also that are used. I just happened to show some of these aluminum ramps, but I like some of the rubber mats where not only do you see where it's beveled to go to give that little incline, but the sides as well are beveled. So if you're approaching one of these little thresholds, you can go from either side, and if it's got a beveled edge, you can safely, go up and down without it being a tripping hazard. So I love these solutions. Okay, now we're looking at flooring, because again, that's under your feet. We're not always looking down, but we don't want to have it as a tripping hazard. So on the left side, I show you some good examples of flooring, and we'll talk about some not so good examples. But make sure if you've got carpeting, you want it to be a low pile carpet so that your heels don't get caught up and create a tripping hazard. You don't want any fancy designs. You want to keep it simple, and you want the edges of any kind of rug or carpet secured. Also, the safety treads that we see there on the bottom left, again, that kind of thing, we'll get more in talking about bathrooms and all, but anything we can do to create a little bit of friction so a floor is not slippery is a good idea. On the right, you see the pattern on the stairs. I mean, that's an extreme pattern, but nevertheless, that is, first of all, it's too much stimulation. It's too much for the eye to take in. You can't tell where one step ends and the next one begins. And then below that, you see some rugs, like where you see the edges have those. It might be a fancy looking rug with those edges, but those are big tripping hazards. So we want to avoid something like that, like we see on the right. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Accessing a room. So we talked about getting in, looking about the flooring, but now we want to be able to get in through the doorways. Okay, so ideally, I love pocket doors like you see in the middle. They slide left to right. If you can put a pocket door in, that's a nice way because the door doesn't then swing in or out. A lot of times we're faced in some of these homes where the doorway is just not wide enough, let's say to accommodate a walker. So if somebody's going into a bathroom, they might leave their walker outside of the bathroom because it won't fit through the door. There are a couple little easy solutions if it's appropriate for your bathroom to widen a doorway. And a great one you'll see on the left, it's a swing away door hinge. So where you see that blue arrow pointing, it takes the door and it enables it to open just a little bit further. Let me explain what the issue is. I'll back up a little bit. When we walk into a door, we look at how much clear floor space there is. So frequently, the door itself is taking up room. It's not that we can walk through the doorway and it's completely open. The door itself is cutting into our open floor space. So in order to sort of take the door part out of the equation and move the door itself out of the way, these swing away door hinges have an extra panel so we can sort of tuck the door behind. The only requirement for that is that behind the door, you need about 2 inches of space so that it can tuck away. Sometimes we go to these homes and there really aren't 2 inches of space behind the door. Many times there are, and replacing the standard hinge with the swing away hinge can be all you need to widen that doorway an extra couple inches, which is sometimes all you need to be able to get the walker in the door. And again, we talked about the pocket doors. I really want to comment on the picture on the right. For safety reasons, a lot of times bathroom doors open in, and think about it. Let's say a person is in a bathroom and it's a small bathroom and they fall. 9 times out of 10, they fall and they are blocking the door. So if you need to get in to get to that person to rescue them, you can't, because you can't open the door because they're on the other side of it on the floor. So if you can, have the bathroom door open out so that if you need to get in there for an emergency, you don't have to worry about the person blocking the door. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, let's address a few questions because they're coming in fast and furious, and Ashok and our audience is definitely responding. Let me go back to the stair lift slide real quick.
Okay.
And let's see. Elizabeth says, can a stair lift work on a circular or square staircases? And Ashok says, yes, there are custom stair lifts for circular staircases and other non-traditional stairs, including when you have a straight stairway, a landing, and a turn to another set of stairs. And I think, Margie, as you had mentioned, it may be tempting to sort of, you have a friend who's got one of these and it might work on your stairs, but even if just that last little bit is not installed properly and there's a threshold or something like that, it's worth talking to somebody who is an expert and working with an occupational therapist like Margie on that, Elizabeth.
Absolutely. It is more expensive, you know, when there is a turn. Of course, the least expensive is a straight stair lift, but if it turns or curves, it's worth, you have to spend the money. It doesn't pay to buy two separate ones. You can't buy a long one and then buy a short one and think that the person's going to get out of the seat and transfer to another seat. And I've seen that, but that's really not practical.
And then Carlos Taylor, who's with Alfred House, which is a group of, I believe, 10 assisted livings that are in residential neighborhoods. He just threw in there on the pneumatic elevator is that they had one installed and it was definitely not an ordeal. And I think there's a lot more mechanical and construction involved with the traditional mechanical elevators. So thanks for sharing that, Carlos. And then Ashok also says, and I think this is on this threshold one here, is that you may use a rubber threshold, but it will take up space in the bathroom. Make sure there's enough space to place the threshold ramp. Yeah, bathrooms really are, most bathrooms have very limited space, wouldn't you say, Margie?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And as tempting as it may be to sort of utilize temporary thresholds, it may not be possible to create a safe environment there, but it's always worth looking into, especially if somebody's coming home from the hospital, I mean, and you haven't made these improvements. And Margie, this is probably a good time to bring this up, is there are sort of, I got to make this improvement because mom is coming home next week. And then there's, let me think about how I could stay in my home for many, many years, no matter what kind of changes I have in my health.
Yeah, people tend to be more reactive than proactive. And I think when you can be proactive and put things, if something is put in place, you'll use it. It doesn't matter how old you are. And, we'll be, as we go through the slides, we're going to definitely delve into bathrooms in a lot more detail. But putting these things in place, if the plan is you want to stay in the home and other parameters are in place that we'll be talking about, definitely pays to be proactive. Don't wait until something happens or somebody's balance starts to get off. Put these safety things in place. You will use them without even realizing.
And then one last question just came in from Elizabeth relating to this slide. She says, how do you secure a rug without damaging a nice wood floor?
Like a scatter rug with like the double stick tape, and is that what?
Yeah, and Elizabeth, I think, feel free to comment, or Ashok may have some resources as well, but I believe that the tape that they've got out there specifically for securing rugs and carpets will not damage, or it's in general, you know, we know like companies like 3M, they've figured out how to create adhesives for everything. But my advice is that if you're looking into that, consult with a professional, but also don't just use like a traditional duct tape or anything like that. Use specific tape.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of rugs in general. I mean, if it's carpet that's, you know, wall to wall, that's one thing, it's secured. But when you use that tape over time, you do get dirt under there. The edge, it requires maintenance, and the edges do come up. I think you're better off without it. There are different ways people change the floor surface. There's different products where you can add like a coating to a floor surface to make it a little bit grainy and non-skid. I mean, they all require some maintenance though, but in general, if you can avoid like smaller rugs, definitely.
Yeah, and I think also if you've got, this may be the time to do a little bit of redecorating and show off those wood floors. I know, like in this picture, you've got this runner here. I know it's nice to have these things, but I've noticed, and I don't have any mobility issues, but some of these smaller rugs throughout my house, I inadvertently trip on them from time to time,
Right.
and they're relatively secure. But again,
imagine Steve, if you were using a walker and the weight of the walker pushing on the rug. I mean, there's just too many variables there. You're better off without it.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'm going to duck behind the curtains. Keep the questions coming in, folks, because it really makes for a robust dialogue. And here we are, grab bars.
Grab bars, my favorite. Ashok probably has such a great supply of grab bars that we can look at. One thing, here are my rules. Do not use a suction grab bar. They are a false sense of security. You can put one on up in the shower, and then when the time comes where somebody may need it, you'll see them come off the wall. Not always, but you can't take that chance. They have to be not suction grab bars, regular grab bars, properly installed. Some people think, oh, well, there's a soap dish, or, you know, there's a towel bar. They are not designed to hold body weight, and they should not be considered grab bars. Let's look at number 3, a shower curtain. What happens if you're in the shower, you're taking a shower, you start to slip, you're going to grab anything that's there. If there's a shower curtain, you're going to grab it. That is not going to support you. We know that. It's just going to come down. So we need to have the grab bars in place in the shower, professionally installed, because a lot of times they need, if you don't already have like blocking behind the walls to secure it, there are ways to get around that. Professionals know how to put them in. The other thing with grab bars, think about many showers. They are, when we're going to talk about contrast, but when you have a grab bar up against a wall and there's an emergency, you have to be able to see it easily. It has to have some contrast to it. So it's there, it's in place, and you'll grab it and it can hold your body weight. So we'll get into color, contrast, and texture as we go along, but it's very important to have the grab bars in place. We never think we're going to fall. We think we're fine, but it's those times when the unexpected happens.
All right. Vita has a question. What if you cannot install the proper grab bars? And this is where Vita, I'm going to drop in some organizations that we know, a link to some organizations that we know that can help you properly install those and evaluate your space. Be careful about somebody that's installed many grab bars over their career is going to be able to identify and do this quickly and safely. You might have a contractor or a handyman that you like to work with, but if they're not if this is something they're not as adept in, it could take them longer, and it might not be necessarily installed at the right location and what have you. And again, working with somebody like Margie, who is going to know different links and placement for where the grab bars are going to serve you best, is also another important element.
Yeah.
And Ashok,
If I can say something, Steve, you're totally correct. Grab bars are, finding a right grab bar is not a simple process. I would strongly suggest have Margie look at it, because it's not just the length, but how do you install them? Do you want one horizontal, one vertical? This way you have both sides covered. And where should they be placed? What length should it be? All that stuff is, you need to have a professional guide you. And yes, they need to be properly installed. They need to be properly installed so they can be weight bearing. If they're not weight bearing, they're as good as the towel bars.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are, there's the hardware like called wingets, things like that, that wingets are designed to really go where maybe there isn't blocking behind the wall, but you still need to have a grab bar that holds a lot of weight. Wingets can help they're the kind of product that a professional would know about and how to put them in. So there's usually a solution for putting in the right grab bar.
And if I could say something else, grab bars are not just for the shower. Grab bars can be installed in the bathroom as you're walking in. Instead of a towel rack, they can be installed in hallways. Grab bars can be installed other places where you need help walking.
Yep. Okay.
Great. Okay, let's move to the next. Oh, and yeah, this is also good. Yeah.
These are just like adding to what Ashok was saying. Grab bars, first of all, I never agree with you. I don't use towel bars at all. Use a grab bar. You have it designed to hold body weight. It can also hold your towel. These are beautiful grab bars here. All of these are grab bars designed to hold body weight, but they function as a grab bar, but aesthetically they're beautiful. And look, they serve dual purposes. The top left, you see it's in a shower. It's a rack. It's designed to hold, your shampoo bottles. Top right, you can have a toilet paper holder. That's also a grab bar. On the lower right, you see that's just a ring that goes around a bathtub. You can use that to get up and down if you're taking a bath or to hold in the shower. Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. That's okay. But you can just see how they can look pretty, but they function. So that's just some examples. Handrails. I really want to talk about handrail. I love this. Even in my own home, I did this. Having a handrail on the wall, a couple things. Have the contrast between the color of the handrail and the wall. Have a handrail, add one to the other side of the stairs. If you have dual handrails, you have one on the left and one on the right, then you've got something to hold going up and down. The other thing, let's say somebody has one arm that's strong, one that's weak. It's nice to have it on both sides so that if you're going up, you might use your stronger arm more to help you. Coming down, you'll use that stronger arm to help you on the opposite side. But it just gives better balance to have two handrails. When you're putting in handrails, keep in mind extending the handrails about another at least 12 inches. I like 18 inches beyond where the step ends. So let's focus on that picture on the right. That is the top of a set of stairs. It's extended. Think about it. If the handrail ended where the stair ends, then basically you're letting go and you're right at the top of the steps. So if your balance isn't good, or even sometimes people with good balance, you're basically teeter-tottering at the top of the steps. Why not extend the handrail another 18 inches, that enables you to still hold on, walk on a more level surface, and then let go. So you're not taking that risk of letting go when you're standing at the top of the steps. It's a simple solution to do. So next one. Okay, accessibility to get in and out of a tub. We've got the top left shows a tub transfer bench. Many of us are familiar with that. But if we put that in a tub and we know that we don't want somebody to have to step over the side of the tub transfer bench is a very nice solution. What sets it apart from a regular shower seat is that you can see two legs are extending outside of the tub. So basically, when someone approaches the tub, they're going to sit on that seat sideways with their legs outside of the tub. So they're sitting down like it's a regular chair, and then they can turn and bring their legs into the tub. And by doing it that way, they've avoided stepping over the side. A regular shower seat that I don't have pictured here just sits inside of the tub. And a lot of times you can't so easily sit on it sideways and bring your legs in because they tend to be curved and they don't come out far enough. So I absolutely love the tub transfer bench for getting in and out when compared with the regular shower seat. Another thing, let's move to the middle where you see it says it's labeled tub cut. That is a great solution if you have a bathtub and you don't want to do a major renovation, but you want to do a cut in the tub so that you don't have to step over the high side of a tub. So there's a company called Tub Cuts, and I think there's now many other companies that do similar things, but they will come in and, as you see, cut down the side of the tub. So of course you're not using it as a bathtub anymore, but you're able to step into the shower. But that piece, actually, you can save it. And if you ever went to move out of your house and you think it's going to affect the resale value, that piece can then be put back in, and the way they seal it up, you don't even know it was ever cut. But that's a very nice solution. It's a lot more cost effective than a whole, bathroom remodel or a tub remodel, but it's much easier access. And then we'll go over and look at the right. The fold down shower seat is nice. When you have a residential home and multiple people that might be sharing a shower, some people may need a seat, some may not. So to have something like this kind of option where the seat folds down if you need it, or folds back up if you don't, it's a great solution. Okay, we can go to the next slide. I want to talk about making an accessible height toilet seat. The portable commode is something I see a lot in homes. And we talked about how bathrooms can be very small. I am not a fan of portable commodes because in a bathroom, we want to keep the floor space. We want to have clear open floor space in a bathroom. And when we put a portable commode, you see how the legs of this portable commode go all the way to the floor. So now I want you to imagine you're using a walker, and now you're approaching the commode with your walker. So we've got the legs of the walker that easily get caught up in the legs of the commode, and that can be a tripping hazard. So instead, I like, if we look at the middle seat, the seat riser, that's something that just puts a little space between the actual toilet seat and the base of the toilet, and it gives you arms. It makes the seat higher, but there's nothing there that goes to the floor that can interfere with, using a walker. It doesn't take up any of the floor space. And then we'll look over to the right at a toilevator. I love the name of that. The toilevator makes the height of the toilet higher, so you can use your existing toilet, but it just raises it up from the bottom. So I think this might be a good time. I can answer some questions if anybody has.
Yeah, and actually, I wanted to share a product that I just became familiar with on this topic.
Okay.
It's called Dignity Lifts, and check this out. It's basically it's a product that goes over the toilet, and it can enable somebody to go from sitting to standing through the mechanical elements. Mm-hmm. So I'll drop that website into chat there as well. But let's see. One thing that Ashok wants everybody to know is tub transfer benches are covered by DC and Maryland Medicaid. And then that portable commodes or 3-in-1 commodes are covered by most insurances and Medicaid. Raised toilet seats and seat risers come either with arms or without, and it raises the toilet seat about 5 or 6 inches. Elizabeth says, the nursing home I worked in didn't allow portable commodes because they were considered unstable and caused falls. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, a lot of times they don't. They're designed really to go next to someone's bedside, and if they can't get into the bathroom, then it's covered because it's considered that the patient can't get to the bathroom. They need something near their bed. But usually the people that need to use them they're weak or they don't have good balance. It has to be up against a wall or something. If it's freestanding, which it frequently gets placed that way, yeah, it is something that can tip over. So you need another person there either to secure it if it can't be up against a wall. But I can understand why, some places maybe don't allow it for that reason, because it isn't so secure. But it's oftentimes better if somebody, if they can't get into the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's a good
And a lot of times, again, the portables and the products, if you're in a crisis situation and you need something, these can be a great resource, but you got to be careful with them while you're modifying your home. But ideally, modifying our homes in advance and having right height toilets and things of that nature can make things a lot better, even if we have an injury or a lack of mobility.
Absolutely. If you modify it and you have the higher toilet seat put in to start with, then sometimes it's just a matter of adding arms or a grab bar, like we'll see later, to give you something to push up.
Oh, and here we go. This was
yeah.
It's like I
right.
looked at your slides in advance.
That helps, right? The two common toilet seat heights that we see now are the comfort height and the standard height. People like myself who are short, the standard height's just fine, but the comfort height we see a lot more now in new construction. It just, those extra couple inches make a huge difference. So you'll see these two terms, the comfort height, and that's referring to the one on the left, which is a little bit higher, and then the standard height. Okay. All right. Making it easier to stand up. I love the use of furniture risers, like you see pictured on the left. Sometimes getting out of that sofa or the chair, it can be your favorite sofa, your favorite chair. You really don't want to get rid of it, but sometimes it's just too low to get up. The simplest solution can be a furniture riser, where you can get them. Sometimes they can stack, but you get one that the weight capacity, they tell you the weight capacity on the furniture risers. It can be used under each leg of a sofa or a chair. A lot of times they have the rubber grip on the bottom to keep it from sliding, but that can make it so much easier to stand up, when you've got that higher height. And then also to make it easier to stand when you're getting out of a chair, if we look at the picture on the right, you see the armrest. This is something we may not think about, but if you're going to be getting a chair, look at the length of the armrests, because armrests, when we go to stand up, when we don't think about it, when you get out of your chair, you're really leaning your body weight forward and pushing, like your nose is over your knees and you're getting up. That's the way to do it easily. So when we have a chair with armrests that don't come out, then our arms tend to bring us, and we're pushing up on a shorter armrest. That's working against us. It's bringing us back a little bit, which is kind of counterproductive. So the best way to use our energy to get up and to use our strength is to have longer armrests so that we can push up while still almost like in a forward position, and it's much easier to stand. So the takeaway is, when you're looking at chairs, really pay attention to the length of the armrest, because when they come out long, it's much easier to get up. Okay, we can look at the next slide. Getting in and out of bed. Pay attention to a mattress. An old mattress, sometimes mattresses, they don't even have to be old, but if it's soft and the edges are saggy, it's much harder to get up. And people sometimes sit at the edge of the bed. They can slip out of the bed because the edges are sagging. So just sort of keep that in mind and maybe go back to your home and look and see if your mattresses on the edge are sagging. So here's just a little picture to exaggerate the point, but hopefully you'll remember that. Okay, we can move on. All right. Having things within a functional reach. I think as a lot of us get older, we don't, maybe people have shoulder problems, they can't reach up as high. There's arthritis, there's different things that keep us from having a full reach. So when we do set grab bars or put something into place, it has to be at a height that is functional for us, where we can reach. So having, as we see on the left, like an adjustable height shower hose, you can make the height of that shower hose work for an individual. You can slide it up and down so it works for that person. Having cabinet shelving where it pulls out, it certainly is more accessible than having to bend a lot or reach in a lot. When sometimes it's just harder to do that as we get older, or if we have different challenges, we know that can create falls. The gentleman on the right, he's in a wheelchair. They make all kinds of adapted shelving where you can just pull a shelf down. It's called Reva shelf. You can pull it down and then push it back up so that it comes to a height to work for you. That's the whole idea behind this, is making the environment work for you. It's not making the person fit into the environment. It's making the environment fit the person. Okay, we can go on. We're going to talk about lighting, contrast, and glare. We can go to the next slide. Sometimes we don't have enough lighting in a room. And as we get older, we need more light. The lens of our eyes, there tends to be like a yellowing. We need more natural light. So it could be as simple as just increasing the wattage of the bulbs that you're using. As long as the fixture can accommodate it, increase the bulb wattage. Use dimmer switches. Those are great. And right now with all this, the LED lighting that's out there, you can get some fantastic light, and the bulbs last for years. So it's just enhancing the lighting that we have. And remember to keep the curtains open, let that natural light in. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Yeah.
Ruth has a question. Do you have some specific recommendations for low vision older adults?
First of all, there are low vision occupational therapists that specialize in low vision. If you need something like that, they can look at the individual and give you hints about whether in that person's case it's better to have the lighting coming from their left side or their right side, depending on what the task is. So that might be a good resource for you. But definitely things like task lighting, which might be extra lighting put under a cabinet or in a drawer or in a closet. Sometimes that can be a good answer for somebody with low vision.
Yeah, and Ruth, I'm dropping into your Q&A here as well as into chat. The Prevention for Blindness Society, I am blown away at the resources that they have, and they're a real easy way to access occupational therapists that specialize in this area to help people with their homes. This is kind of another thing anecdotally that I've heard that's worked extremely well for people with low vision is Amazon Alexa and other voice activated devices in the home are a great way to maintain purpose and connection without having to rely so much on vision, because you can provide voice commands to make phone calls, to have the newspaper read to you, to order your groceries and things of that nature. And obviously, I mean, lighting is really key too. Most people with low vision are not totally blind, and just proper lighting, like what Margie's sharing with us.
Right. And here we see just motion activated lights. You know, you don't have to look for the light switch. It knows when you're walking by, and the lights can automatically come on. You can usually set it for X amount of time, or buy different light fixtures. Some are as simple as, you go to Home Depot, it can be a stick-on light, you know, that you can put up against hallways like you see on the left, or stairwells, and the lights will just come on. It'll detect you, you know, coming from, let's say, 10 feet away, whatever. They'll tell you what the parameters are. But those are great cost-effective solutions to really illuminate some of these areas where we need extra lighting. Okay, we can go. I love the Illuma bowl. This is, let's say someone's getting up at night to use the toilet bowl, and you don't want them to miss, right? So they have Illuma bowls. You can put lighting in, pick what color you like, and they have a target. They've got something for everything. I think we really need to focus on contrast a lot. As we get older, you know, whether it's low vision, macular degeneration, things like that, we need contrast for things to stand out. And contrast can help improve your depth perception. I want you to look at this. Is what you're seeing in this slide is a toilet, a white toilet. One side, the seat of the toilet, half of it is black, half is white. So you see how it stands out a little bit. Imagine you're in a bathroom where the floor is a white tile, and then you've got a white toilet. There's no contrast. So it makes it very difficult, especially for the aging eye, to discriminate the toilet from the floor. So it can be as simple as changing out the toilet seat. You can get them in any color you want. You could, reds, and the warmer colors like reds and oranges are great for the aging eye. You put a red or orange seat against a white background or a white tile floor, you've got a much better target for somebody to use when they're using the toilet. It helps immensely. So the contrast is important. So let's look at the next slide.
Okay, sorry. There we
That's
go.
okay. All right, what you're seeing here is a set of stairs. You're looking at the top, looking down. We need to really put a mark at the edge of a stair. If people are going up and down the stairs, a lot of times we might be using a stair lift, or people are, you know, using an elevator. But when you are using the stairs, in conjunction with having the handrails on both sides and things like that, we want contrast, at least on the last couple inches of the steps. So I like using red. Here I'm just showing you with white. On the right, you see a white strip. On the left, there's no white strip. What a difference it makes for people to be able to see where the edge of the step is. So it can be paint, it can be you know, red duct tape. Anything you can do to mark the edge of a step is very helpful. The contrast is critical. Yeah.
One very beautiful approach to this, but this is, again, it's planning in advance, that I've seen, is if you have wood floors, if your steps are wood floors, and you can make the edge you can have two colors of wood, the edge being dark, the place where you put the foot being light, and it really,
it's beautiful.
a very beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing on this that I've heard over the years is, think about like your kitchen counters and tables, especially those tables that were always banging, glass tables that you bang your shin into every time you walk by it because you can't see it. You know, making an artistic border around something, or just using some tape temporarily, can really help us all prevent injury.
Absolutely.
Let's see. We got a few questions in here. Cedar says about ramps and other modifications. Aren't neighborhood associations and landlords required by the ADA, Americans with Disability Act, to allow them, or maybe within certain limits? I'm not an expert in this area. I believe that especially if you've got an apartment building and things like that, there's requirements for accessibility. I do believe that homeowners associations, they may put restrictions on design and colors and things like that. And I believe as long as they're not restricting you from having these improvements, they can, I believe that they can restrict the design and what they look like. Do you have any details on that, Marjorie?
I mean, you do have to get it cleared through a homeowners association. I went through that. In fact, where I was living, I wanted to put an exterior handrail just to help, for I had guests come that wanted to go up one step, and I had to get it cleared. And they said, well, we wanted, you know, some other neighborhood put in some 2x4, and that's what they accept. I said, but that's not even grippable. Like, to put in a 2x4 just because it was a piece of wood. I said, I don't want something like that, because you want the grip of the handrail to be grippable. You have to get your hand around it, and you couldn't. So I was then able to get approval for mine, because mine was, you know, metal and you know, I actually look good. But yes, there is a process. But definitely if you have a solution, and like I said, in my case, the existing solution wasn't really a good solution. So sometimes it's about educating people on what really works, but it is a point you do have to go through, have to jump through some hoops, but it's worth it.
And for Elizabeth has a great suggestion is that you could add stair treads that are smaller than the step for contrast, and a different color. And again, not getting wrapped up in the design too much. Oh, holy cow, Rhonda, I see you pop on and I'm like, we've gone, it's an hour and 5 minutes. This is riveting
It's totally
conversation
fine.
here.
It's totally fine. It is absolutely, this is very educational. So no,
Yeah.
I didn't pop on because of the time, but I did want to make a comment for those that have residential homes. And I'm sure that they do know that, you know, any type of railing and things like that they're adding, that they're really approved by OHCQ. They, you know, because everything has to be at a certain height when you're adding in even the portable ramps in the homes and different railings. It has to be at a certain height. So those type of things are approved by OHCQ. When the surveyors come out, those are the things that they look for.
Okay. Great. Okay. Well, now that I know that we're over an hour,
Okay. I can zip through.
Okay.
Just more examples of contrast and the importance of that. That's just getting in and out of a shower. And here I have literally put red duct tape to mark the edge of the little threshold into a shower. It works like a charm. Red duct tape. You have to contrast. Again, certain colors work well with the senior eye. This is a wall, just being able to mark the floor from the wall. Okay. Reducing glare. Glare is a lot of glare sensitivity as you get older. So using shears, or sometimes putting a tablecloth down if the surface is too shiny and it bothers somebody. There's some very simple solutions to fixing glare. Okay, we can go on.
Okay.
Clutter, not good. Tripping hazard, just being aware. I don't think we see a lot of this, but there are many people that live home and alone where their rooms can look like this, and obviously it's a tripping hazard. So we can.
Oh, I think, Margie, this is a bigger problem than we realize. And yeah, we would never go into a hospital room that looked like this. And so cleaning and organizing, and I'll drop some resources into chat that could help with the organizing and things like that.
Well, we're gonna like sort of summarize here. I tried to give you some ideas today. There's a lot of things we didn't get to, but some easy to implement things to help people stay at home. Sometimes though, it is not appropriate to be at home. If you're by yourself and your cognition truly is impaired, or your safety judgment's impaired, no matter how many safety features you put into place, sometimes you really shouldn't be living on your own. You can't manage your medications, things like that. So I think it's really important to be aware of that, look at the big picture. And then also, if you put something, when I'm doing tours with CarePatrol and I walk through a home and I see grab bars that I love the way they're placed or the contrast, I point it out. I think it's so important if you implement some of these features, and then let's say you're touring a family through your home, point these things out, because otherwise we don't think about it. But when a family hears that you have put your thought and your attention into making the home safer, they're like, wow, that speaks volumes, and that will set you apart from other people. So implement these things. I'm happy to help you with that. And then I think it'll make a difference, because safety is number one. So anyway, I thank you. The questions have been great. And that's pretty much everything I was going to cover today.
This is really great. We've got a bunch of great resources in chat there, and one of the things to think about on that final point that you made, Margie, is that, you know, I know that there's a lot of turmoil between aging in place and making a move, and it's not an easy choice to make. But what I like about some of the resources that you're sharing is that these are easy devices and easy fixes just to make our homes safer, because oftentimes, because the decision to make a move can take longer than people think.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have a fall, they get injured. And now instead of going to the senior living community or the assisted living, now it's going to the hospital and to a nursing home. And that's where none of us want to go.
And the other thing too, things can be aesthetically beautiful. You can do these things and it will add to the value of your home. It does not take away. It doesn't have to look medical. We're just trying to, whether you're planning ahead or you're just sort of trying to implement a few things to get you through, the home can look gorgeous.
All right. Well, man, what a topic. I think we need to dive into it again. And Ashok and Rhonda, you have some closing thoughts.
This was absolutely amazing, Margie. Thank you so much. I just want to add to what Margie said. You know, there are times where you just can't stay at home, and a lot of times it's difficult to make the decision is when is the right time to move, and that's what CarePatrol can help you with. We covered assisted living, we cover memory care, we cover independent living. If you choose to stay at home, we also have home care companies that we work with as well.
Yep, and thank you so much for this amazing talk, and I loved all the interaction we got from the audience. Steve, do you mind putting our contact information again, because a lot more people joined in later on.
Absolutely.
And also I wanted to just mention everything that Marjorie said that you need, even if you get everything that she said, only a couple of $100. So think about it from that perspective. What is your, if you don't get them, you end up in the hospital, as Steve said, that's the pain, suffering, and everything you go through in the hospital. It can all be avoided if you get an OT to evaluate and get the proper items so you can live safely at home.
I love it. What a great discussion. And folks, I'll send the recording along with the chat transcript to the CarePatrol team so that they can share this with you. Thanks for being on the discussion. And Margie, thanks so much for a very thought-provoking presentation.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And CarePatrol for allowing me to help you with this discussion. It's always great.
Steve, I just have one more comment. Stay tuned for our next education series, which will be Dr. Stephen Simmons and Jody Lyons on June the 28th. Our series are usually the third or the last Thursday of the month. So stay tuned. More information to come.
That's awesome. Two really good presenters
Yes.
there. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.